Hello and welcome to the National Debate. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, days after Donald Trump's flurry of executive orders, there have been fear, apprehension and even anxiety in the immigrant population in the United States. The most controversial order, of course, is to end birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. Essentially, children of those who aren't U.S. citizens may be born in the U.S. but won't get a passport. But it's the first one to hit a legal hurdle as well, as the U.S. federal court has put a temporary block on the ban, which was to come into effect from February 19th. But U.S. District Court has put a restraining order on the same. Trump's order has led to chaos and panic in the Indian immigrant population as well. Children of Indians on work permits and in green card queues are going to be hit. Remember, there are about 5.4 million Indian Americans in the United States as of 2024, which amounts to 1.47% of the total population, and two-thirds of the Indian diaspora in the United States are first-generation immigrants. Meanwhile, India has cleared its stand on the issue of immigration. After red flagging the delay in issuing visas, it says that it's open to the return of its citizens if they are residing in the United States illegally. The question that we are asking on the national debate today is Trump a boon or bane for India and the Indian diaspora? And will the India-US ties flourish or flounder under the Trump presidency? Let's quickly introduce our guests who are joining us at the moment. With us is Siddharth Yadav, national spokesperson of the BJP. Ashok Sajanar is former ambassador joining us. With us also is P.K. Basu, senior economist and author. Dr. Santosh Mehrotra is a senior economist joining us. Professor Tanveer Ejaz is a columnist and academician joining us. With us also is Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist. Let's take a quick look at what really has been happening thus far. If you can quickly recap it on the wall over here. What the law says, and this is the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, that all persons born or naturalized in the United States automatically become citizens of the U.S. and of the state where they reside. Now, this is as far as the law is concerned. But why is this entire matter controversial? Let's bring you what has happened as far as Trump is concerned. He says that citizenship doesn't automatically extend to persons born in the United States. This is from the executive order. He says that children of undocumented parents are not entitled to birthright citizenship. And also, as far as the executive order is concerned, if you can quickly bring that up on the screen, what's really proposed is that he's expected to reduce or eliminate temporary visas as well. This is as far as the immigration is concerned, likely to tighten issuing of H-1B visas and green cards. This is, of course, what is proposed, expected to also restrict family preference programs which have been made, and also could tighten norms in the H-2A and the H-2B programs which have been put out. He's also likely to set visa caps and increase requirements as well. And also, let's look at what India's stand is on this issue. So, supporting legal mobility and believe in a global workplace is what India has said. In fact, Jaishankar saying that to Rubio in their meeting, also saying that want Indian talent to have an opportunity at the global level is a clear message coming in from India. But we're also firmly opposed to illegal migration is the stance that India has taken in our mutual interest to facilitate beneficial mobility. So both countries would benefit from it. Also, a 400-day waiting period for visa doesn't serve ties too well is what India has said. Open to return if our citizens are there illegally. Let's quickly go across. Ashok Sajanar, coming to you first. What does one make of all of this at the end of the day? Because, there are mixed signals coming in. There are people talking about Indians potentially returning back if these laws are too harsh. What do you see as the fallout? Is it going to impact the ties between the two countries at all?
Thank you very much, Madhav. As far as there are a couple of issues that you have raised. Let me first of all speak about the illegal migrants who are there. I think the External Affairs Minister has been very categorical that India is not interested in sending illegal migrants to other countries. When we want our people to go, that's why we are signing all these many migration and mobility agreements with different countries. We want them to go as legal citizens and have a mutually beneficial stay there, which will be beneficial for the host country, it will be beneficial for India, it will be beneficial for the bilateral partnership. So that is, and if there are, whatever the numbers are, 18,000, 20,000, 15,000, I think once there is evidence and there is a proof beyond doubt that these are Indian citizens and they have come illegally, then I think in stages, as and when, this evidence whole issue is resolved, then they can start coming back. So that is the aspect of the illegal and the legal migration. H-1B visas. Donald Trump, I'm sure you and your audience have seen that. He has said it very categorically that he is not against H-1B visas. You know, there might be noise, there might be chatter in the background from the MAGA supporters, etc., etc. But I think as far as Trump himself is concerned, you know, he has said it in so many words that, you know, America is a land of migrants. It has reached the stage of prosperity through migrants. And, you know, in terms of the talent that India has to offer in all these areas, you know, there is. Now, the last question that you had posed was as far as the birthright citizenship. My question would be, okay, if they don't go to America, and you know, America is the land of dreams, as they say, they don't go to America, there is no other country, Switzerland, Germany, France, which if you go there and you have a child, that they will give you the citizenship. No, I think it should not really be taken as a matter of birthright by people who are going there. I think they are going there, they are working, they are getting a good deal. I think that is...
Okay, Ashutosh, coming to you on that. Yeah, you know, is too much being drawn into all of this. There are other countries and other jurisdictions also which don't automatically make you citizens. Just because you're born there, you have to be a citizen, or at least one parent has to be a citizen to be a citizen if you're actually born there. Is that a fair ask? Because all that he's doing is something that is present in other countries as well, or is too much being drawn into this?
No, the problem here is when you say that they don't have the birthright, is that when an Indian is attracted to America for that American dream, that is one of the things he is looking at. And where does that child go now? You will make him stateless. Will he come back to India while the parents are in US? Will you send that child, not give him passport? That is the unfairness of this system.
There's an embassy there which can issue a passport to parents if they're in.
But it's being unfair on those children who have been living there. There are children who have been living there who will be affected by it, who haven't got US citizenship yet. They've been studying there. Some of them might now even be working there. Their dreams are shattered. They have no connection they're mentally, they may be Indians because of their parentage, but mentally they are Americans. They are more at ease in the American society. So you are suddenly telling them that leave America because you don't have this right.
Okay.
But one more thing, as the ambassador was saying, that Musk supports H-1B.
Yes.
And that is a very positive thing in favor of Indians living there. And I don't think there is much to worry about. This will be sorted out.
Okay, I'm just going to come to each of you first, get an opening comment. Mr. Basu, I'd like you to come in on this because, you know, there are those who say that, of course, Trump has now spoken on the issue of H-1B, but the MAGA supporters also have a huge amount of say. You know, critics will say, look what happened to Vivek Ramaswamy, for instance, you know, exiting DOG even before the inauguration of President Trump.
Well, Vivek Ramaswamy has not exited DOGE because of the MAGA crowd. He's exited to run for governor of Ohio. And the simple fact is that with regard to H-1B visas, President Trump, in his victory speech on November 7th night, said very clearly that he wants people with talent, with scientific ability, technological skills, etc., to come in. So H-1Bs are not going to be affected. What he is concerned about is illegal immigrants and the children of illegal immigrants. So the debate in America is very polarized. The Obama administration and the Biden administration has been trying to give citizenship to the children of illegal immigrants. And as far as Trump is concerned and the right is concerned, this is a way of expanding the Democratic vote base through giving citizenship to those who have come in illegally. And of course, during the Biden administration, you had 2 to 3 million people coming in every year. In fact, I think the highest was 3.2 million in 2023. The 2024 number is not known, but the numbers are very high, very large numbers of illegals coming into the United States. Every country has the right to impose a strict border control. And that's essentially what the United States is trying to do. It's trying to ensure that illegals don't come in. As far as India is concerned, we don't want to send our citizens into other countries illegally. We want there to be mobility across borders on a legal basis. So as far as we are concerned, H-1B visas, of course, are important to many of our countries, to many of our companies. But if there are restrictions on H-1B visas, then we'll see much more work being done onshore in India. That might be positive for the Indian economy as well. So as far as India is concerned, I don't see anything negative in what Trump is attempting to do. Of course, as Mr. Ashutosh said, there are some children born in the United States who's, who might suddenly find that they are
stateless.
They are stateless. I don't think that's really an issue. They will be stateless only if their parents don't have a state. If their parents are legal migrants to the United States, there is no problem. If the parents are illegals, and I don't think there are too many Indians like that who have migrated to the US illegally and had children, then there is a problem. But I think that's a very minuscule number of people.
No, Pew Center actually puts that at a few 100,000. So that's a significant number. Of course, the government says it's very different.
Okay, the children. You see, now, there are
illegal Indians.
There's supposedly about 700,000 illegal Indians in the United States, of which India and the US have acknowledged about 18,000. At the moment, 18,000 are acknowledged by both countries as being Indian citizens who are illegal.
Professor Mehrotra, are we drawing too much, of an interpretation into this? Or is this number just 18,000 because some claim it's 700,000 odd? Is this an issue that's really of importance? Or is it just for a small section of Indians who actually hope to go abroad and work in the United States that this entire fuss is all about?
Well, let's separate out three issues, if you don't mind, because I think we are talking about three different sets of issues, all of them together. So let's just first talk about the illegal one, which is what we've just been talking about. You know, it's very good to hear the foreign minister say that, we are firmly opposed to illegal immigration, and that's been repeated here as well. The real issue is there has been a massive increase in the last several years of illegal migration from India to the United States. Why is that happening? Because the employment issue is very, very big. We must never forget this. That's the foundational reason. There's been an unprecedented increase in unemployment rates. Now, let's talk about the 18,000, nearly 18,000. They have already been identified. They are already apparently in detention. They are likely to be deported. There is just no question about that. That's a fairly straightforward issue. The real issue is, I think, around as you rightly pointed out, that's the Pew study. The Pew study says there are 725,000. Now, that's a huge number. You and I can understand that this is something that should worry any American citizen, American president. In addition, of course, as part of this, there are those who are hanging around on the Mexico border plus on the Canadian border, 42,000. These are the numbers I've been reading. So clearly, this will have to be addressed. First, you'll have to bring back the 18,000, no question about it. Second, we'll have to sort of enter into some sort of negotiation about what happens to the 725,000. First, there'll be a negotiation. Then there's the H-1B issue. The H-1B issue, there's no clarity as of now. Why is there no clarity? Because on the one hand, the MAGA radicals, they want a cut on the H-1B, and we know 45% of all H-1Bs are Indians. Now, Elon Musk, on the other hand, who's obviously a big shot, clearly, and important to the policy making, he wants H-1Bs. So we have arguments being, argued on both sides. But
Musk hasn't had his way. Actually, Trump is more for fossil fuels and, bringing Detroit back into the scene rather than electric vehicles. So how much of a say Musk has, the jury's yet out on that. But let me bring in the entire issue of employment, because, Siddharth, I want you to answer that question. The allegation coming in from Professor Mehrotra is that unemployment rates are up in India, and that's why we are seeing this push or surge in illegal Indians going to the United States. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't think so, Madhav. First of all, I'll also answer and make a comment on the H-1B visa, because I was reading a report by the Times group only day before yesterday. And Trump has said that not just engineers, but at all levels. Donald Trump on H-1B visa says he wants competent people coming into the US. So I think positive times are coming, and India has a very strong place, especially in the global south. With the Trump administration now taking over, they have always appreciated the leadership of our the current government, Prime Minister Modi. We know the close ties that have been there in the past. But when it comes down to people migrating illegally, we are a sovereign country. We are all against illegal people migrating into our country. So we have a very clear stand. We can't be hypocritical about it that the US should allow people who have migrated illegally. And so we are very, very clearly putting out the stand that whosoever has illegally gone into the US at any point of time should, and we are ready to take them back, and they can be sent back to the to our Indian soil. But when it comes down to the reason behind that migration being unemployment in our country, I think we need to come out of the narratives, because the study says that one of the major places, one of the major states where the migration happens in India is Punjab, say, to the US. And we have not been in power in Punjab for long. We also have very highly skilled people. We have also very highly skilled people going into the US. We also have very highly talented people who are very employable in India also going into the US. Rather, we have seen a reverse brain drain now, where people are now moving towards India, choosing India as their destination to work after things have been positive in our country. Also, US is also battling with their own set of challenges, the high rates of inflation and all other things, where people who are planning to move to the US also are considering those. So I think we need to come out of those narratives. Today, the thing is that we as a sovereign country and with a very globalized world, every citizen should have, and with our close and good relations with the US, should have the option of mobility, of working there and contributing to whatever space they want to. But that comes without saying that all of that should happen legally, and the government of India would support that.
All right, quickly, Professor Mehrotra, you want to counter that? You had a problem with what Siddharth was saying?
Very simple. We are not in power in Punjab, and the largest number of illegal migrants are from Punjab. That's neither here nor there. You've got an unemployment problem. The number of illegal migrants from India has grown dramatically.
Dr. Basu wants to respond to your unemployment. Mr. Basu, quickly.
We have an unemployment
problem. One by one.
The unemployment problem is fictional. You see, the basic point is that in the year of COVID, remember, COVID was a huge global event, and in that year, there was a huge migration of people to the agriculture sector. Look at the CLEMS database. The CLEMS database shows that since that year, there have been 40 million new jobs created in the services sector. 40 million new jobs in the agriculture sector, in the services sector, not agriculture. 40 million new jobs, 20 million in construction, and 8.5 million in manufacturing. That is the fastest job growth in India's history. Go back 45 years, that is the fastest growth in employment in India ever. Okay. That is the fastest 5-year process of growth. So this nonsense about unemployment, firstly, it is coming from CMIE, who have an absurd system. And the simple fact is that India is the fastest growing economy in the world. You cannot have an economy growing rapidly with no employment growth.
Okay.
Employment is in fact growing faster in India than anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
And faster in India now than in any other 4-year period in history.
Okay. I don't want to make this debate about employment. Let's quickly shift to other aspects. I want to bring you on this, Professor Tanveer Ejaz. We've seen, now speaking of illegals, India, we have our own problem of illegal Bangladeshi migrants. We've seen a big crime in the house of a film star recently. The point being made over here is, even when it comes to Bangladesh, we had seen the kind of situation of violence. So that Trump spoke about it, the Biden administration was completely silent about the attacks that were taking place when Sheikh Hasina left. There are many who believe that Trump's positions are more aligned with the positions that India takes today. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, about migration, I think we all must agree to this fact that there is a pattern of migration globally. And from a less developed countries, people migrate to a better, more developed countries for a better livelihood, for employment, for better living. That's the way how migration takes place. And let's not, there's no qualms about it, that in India, when we compare India with US, or perhaps when you compare Bangladesh with India, India has a better livelihood possibilities when you compare it with Bangladesh, right? US has a better livelihood possibilities when you compare it with India. So therefore, this out migration, of course, US, we all know about it's a land of opportunities, etc., etc. So therefore, that migration takes place. And there are a variety of reasons why migration takes place. But of course, one of the reasons is, I have to agree, is that because of the jobless growth, in India. That's very much there. Now, the point about migration, and the question of citizenship, these are quite interlinked, right? But the moment when you talk about citizenship, it raises a lot of questions, right? It is scarce. 18,000 undocumented, right? But beyond 18,000, I mean, one will have to get into the whole process of this whole documentation itself. Okay. India was having a problem in documentation, about the CAA when this happened, right? So this whole question of documentation is a big question. Okay. And one more thing I would like to say is that, let's not forget about this, that the Trump there, the background in which Trump is ruling is a background of opposing multiculturalism. It's what we can call it as a politics of polarization, racism. Within these background, Trump has, so therefore it's very natural to come out.
Let me just quickly bring in another aspect, Ashutosh. A few weeks ago, we had seen, a few months ago, we had seen the BJP come out and, allege that the State Department was working to undermine, or the deep state was working rather to undermine the Modi regime here in India. We've seen different sorts of commentary coming in from the State Department, when it was, political arrests, etc., taking place. There are reports that have come in as far as religious freedom that's taking place. Do you think that this entire friction that we've seen, or the positions that the Trump administration would take, would be radically different from Biden in terms of such aspects which have been irritants between India and US in the recent past?
I mean, we'll be delusional if we think that Trump is going to be pro-India. This bromance that you see on screen is just there for a screen. Okay. Because you see, what is Trump talking about? That he is
Modi and Trump don't have good ties. That's something that's been spoken about. Howdy Modi and
Modi
Namaste
and Trump don't. I mean, out of that meme melody, only Meloni was there. Modi was sitting here. Thali bajao here. Now coming back to Trump. Trump talks about Z being a good friend. Just today he has sort of taken a U-turn on imposing tariffs on China. That is bad news for India. India under Modi and Biden is part of Quad. What is Quad? Quad is your wall against China. Now, if Modi, Trump has even spoken about G2, China and US solving world problems. That is extremely bad news for India.
I want Siddharth to respond to that. Coming to each of you, very quickly, quick closing comments.
We all know, I think Ashutosh Ji is himself delusional if he says that Modi and Trump do not have good ties. We have seen the post-victory call also made. Trump said that the whole world loves Modi. We have seen the event in Houston. We have seen the Namaste Trump. We have seen the Howdy Modi. We have seen how Trump called Modi as a fantastic leader, a total killer in a very good sense. So we have seen all of that, the relation building in the last regime when Trump was here, and we are very positive and we should be hopeful. And definitely, some people would have troubles that how India today has, emerged as a global leader, and how the one, tall leader of our country, the Prime Minister, has such good relations, rather on a more personal level.
Coming to each of you, very quickly. Santosh Mehrotra.
I think we have a very positive time.
Santosh Mehrotra, China is the big, elephant in the room. Of course, we have seen a lot of talk on tariff, but suddenly on TikTok, we saw a little bit of a carrot being held out to China from Trump's side, where the TikTok ban was revoked. Do you think that things are going not quite as per India's plan, or do you think that at the end of the day, the huge trade deficit between US and China is something that Trump will ultimately have to impose tariffs for, or are we not clear at this point which way that tariff war is going to affect India?
Almost certain that there will be an increase in tariffs upon China. That goes without saying, because $1 trillion per annum, which is the trade surplus that China has with the US, is something that Trump is not willing to live with. That's pretty clear. If Trump is not willing to live with a $43 billion trade surplus that India has with the US, you can imagine what he thinks of China. So on the issue that sort of seemed contentious, whether our PM has a good personal relationship with the President Trump, it seems that he has a personal relationship, but the real issue here is a president who is extremely transactional. The word that all US watchers, and particularly those who live in the US and truly understand the US. I mean, I've also lived in the US for a good 11 years of my professional life over many different decades, and I have some understanding that, this is a leader who is very unusual. He is very, very transactional. He prides himself on being a deal maker. So, let's not go put too much store by the relationship between the PM and the president.
Okay. Quick closing comments from Ambassador Sajjanar. Is it the fact that he is more transactional? Will the ties with Prime Minister Modi matter? Or is it the whole fact that he's also a big disruptor in a sense? What do you see being the biggest factor influencing India over the next 4 years?
Madhav, he was transactional in Trump 1.0, but we managed him well. We also need to recognize that in addition to the two leaders, there is a strategic convergence of interest between the two countries. And irrespective of which leader has been in power in US, irrespective of which leader has been in power in India, the relationship between India and the United States has gone up. I could give you many examples, but when he came to power in 2017, he rubbished many of the initiatives taken by Obama. Iranian nuclear deal, Trans-Pacific Partnership, Paris Accord, any of them except one. That is in terms of taking relations with India forward. And I think today also there is that strategic convergence of interest. It was mentioned about Quad. It is Mr. Modi and Biden. I think let's not forget in 2017 when Quad was revived, it was done by Trump.
Yes.
Secondly, the first meeting of this government of this dispensation was on the 21st between the 4 foreign ministers of the Quad countries.
Absolutely.
So it really signifies.
So interesting times, very interesting times that we have.
What a focus these countries have, including the United States, on dealing with the China and pushing back against China.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Siddharth Yadav, Ashok Sajjanar, PK Basu, Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, Professor Tanveer Ejaz, Ashutosh Mishra. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of the National Debate.